For those that are returning from other of my videos, welcome back. For anyone new, welcome. So in a previous video, we installed or upgraded the version of CMake on my Raspberry Pi, and this was anticipation to get the Raspberry Pi Pico software development kit working. So from here, we want to make sure that we get the everything updated, make sure all the software is updated and all the packages that are needed are updated. So I'm going to use the packet manager and look for updates. And I'm going to use the time tool if I have to cut it out if it takes too long, and so you can see how long generally takes. This shouldn't take too long because this system has recently been updated. So we're just gonna run this through, and it took a little over 6 seconds. Now again, these are instructions that I am primarily getting from both the Raspberry Pi Pico GitHub and the GitHub of the YouTube channel Gary Explains, and I will have links in the descriptions, and I will try to throw in a link up here for the video from Gary Explains. So now that we did that, these are some packages that we need. This over here is the compiler. Even though this Raspberry Pi is an ARM and has an ARM processor, and the Pico has an ARM processor, these are essentially used for the compiler and to make sure all the right libraries on here. Build Essentials is a tool chain that's needed or used. Same thing with libssl. TK and TK inter are used, I believe, primarily for the GUI interface, which we won't be using since this Raspberry Pi does not have X Windows installed. As you may want to see, this is what I've primarily used as a RetroPie, which has, I guess, a GUI interface in and of itself, but not X Windows. And then TK for Python 3. Now we're going to run this, and it can't locate this TK inter, which again is used for the GUI interface, so we're not even going to worry about it. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this. I believe most of these packages are already installed on this from previous times when I've tried to install, and that is correct. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is leave this CMake directory, and this is the directory I have for just the software development kit. So first thing we want to do is we want to actually use GitHub and get the software development kit. So again, I'm running time just so we can get a idea of how long this takes. And here's the link. I will be posting these links inside the description, and it looks like it has downloaded in 2 seconds. Okay, so let's go to, if I spell things correctly, and here is the software development kit. So this is the full path of the software development kit. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to set up the software development kit path into the environmental variables. So that's using the export command and using the working directory that I'm currently in, and that will save us some problems down the line. This is a little bit out of order of how the Gary Explains source works, but I figured this is the quick, easy way of doing that. And while I am in here, I am going to do a submodule update. And I'm basically doing this because that is what is recommended. It seems to be updating this tiny USB, which may be needed to access the USB with the software development kit. As you may have seen in previous videos, the software correction, this Raspberry Pi can access via terminal to or via screen, Pico term, anything through the USB terminal. So we're gonna just continue from here. So now just take a look here and make sure that I have not missed anything. So now the next item we're going to need is the Pico Project Generator. Now, this is the tool that is basically why we need CMake. And again, we downloaded it in under a second. So now we go to the Pico Project Generator and we can go to the okay, and then we can run the this is an in path, so Pico Project doesn't have a project name. Go to help. Okay, and here are the options. You pretty much can create a blank project which is saying pico.project.py and put test, and that's what we'll do right now. We're not going to end up compiling this just yet. We'll compile it. We won't run it on the Pico. This is just a quick test. So we'll call it test 1 because we may do some more tests. And okay, that took a little bit of time to figure out. It was a Python error, and part of the problem was the version of Python, and then the TK inter. I believe I was running into errors because I don't have a GUI on here. Now, I did have to make a modification to the script, I had to install Python 3.6. I had Python 5. I didn't bother. Yeah, 3.6.8 is the Python version on here. So it did set it this time. It's been a couple hours of me playing around with this. I got it, the new version of Python running, and then tkinter wasn't working. Eventually, I'm going to get a video that goes as expected, but I'm going to put the what I did to upgrade Python. A little bit of a rant here. One of the purposes of Python, to my understanding, is that it's sort of like Java. It's meant to be universal. Now, between Python 2 and Python 3, they made a considerable change that wasn't backwards compatible and basically split the project into two. From there shouldn't be that many changes, but there are, and you need to make sure you have a new version of Python. And it's not like, I believe they're currently on Python 10. I did not install Python 10 because I didn't want to make that much of a jump, because I didn't know if it would break anything backwards. So I stuck with Python 6. This was, I believe, the last version of Python 6 before they went to Python 7. So that's just my little bit of a rant here. So we're going to go back to the Pico Project Python script. We're going to use the -u for USB, so we can use the USB serial terminal, and we'll just call this test 1. Okay, and it's -USB test 1, and now it's creating all the files, and it's creating this directory test 1. In there's a couple things. There's some a CMake list, a build folder, and test1.c. So we'll go through and look at test1.c, and this just is a simple hello world script. We didn't include any of the other libraries. It's using standard IO and the Pico version of standard lib. And then we go to the build folder, and we should be able to just run make and this is going through to basically compile that simple program, that simple build file. And what we want is this test2.ef2 test1.uf2. So the issue with this is that we will probably never see that output because it is going to display once as soon as the file is uploaded and not have any other function basically. So then we have to figure out what we want to do with that to try to see if we can get something working. So let's just go back down there and let's see what we can do. We could just do a simple, well, true, and just keep running that until basically indefinite. So let's just go ahead and go with that. Had to make a little bit of do some rearranging because of connectivity issues. So let me go get the Raspberry Pi Pico, which already has a program in it. So I am going to hold down the button and connect it. This is the bootloader button. So now it should be mounting it. So it's mounting it here as USB 1. So if we USB 0, sorry. So it's just those two files. And okay, so let's go ahead and go to the build folder and let's remake it, and it went a lot simpler. So there's the file that we set. So we want to copy test1.uf2 to /media/USB 0. Okay. picocom /tty/dev/tty am or acmo, I believe is the one. Yep. And here it is the hello world, just be repeating over and over again. And there's no escape character to here, so we'll just cause the terminal to end. Okay, so that's just a simple simple program to run the software development kit. In future videos, we'll work on accessing the LED, and there are some other other examples. There's a hello world, Pico board, reset, timer, flash. So we can go through, let's just look at look at this we'll look at this Flash program C, and it's loading some more items. And this is different than the way I made a simple Flash program. I don't have it on this computer, I believe. So if we look at the help file for the Pico generator, there's features that you can add, and to see the list of features, those are those SPI, I2C or I2C, DMA, PIO, interp, timer, watch, clocks. So those are items that you can add, and then there's the configuration options, which is a lot longer. And you could set the frequency of the clock. You can set the route of USB for RAM. And there's some other options. Basically, you could go through here, the default I2C, and there's different functions. The UART board rate. You could set the size for the heap, and I'm just looking through some of these. Set floating point for printing. There's a bunch of options. I haven't looked through most of these. And then you can just go through those and create that. So in future videos, we're gonna go through and create more projects with different items, but most likely the next Pico video that I will be doing will be another soldering video, and I will be soldering the pin headers onto the Pico. So if things go the way most of my other videos do, then at that point there'll be some problems. I'll have to probably start and stop, but I'm gonna leave it right here for now. If there's any projects or any items you want me to play around with for either maybe a sensor that you want me to try. Right now I have different humidity, temperature sensors, some temperature probes that I may be playing around with to put into an old toaster oven to maybe try to configure it for a reflow oven. Some LEDs, and just playing with some breadboards and just mounting on a breadboard and playing around. Looking forward to trying to get some of these projects started. I have actually delayed a lot of them for so I can video them and I should. After the soldering video, I'll probably be testing some other stuff off camera. But even though I do have a second Pico, I'll do the soldering on video and probably make a fool of myself again. And then other non-electronic videos that I'm working on. I have some other coffee videos, including a coffee extract video that I'm working on. Plan on doing some other extracts. If anyone has any thoughts on that, leave them in comments. And otherwise, have a great day.